Hello, my beautiful collective. My name is Calum. I'm an empath, a psychic, and an oracle of sorts. I wanted, I tried recording this video already, and I'm not satisfied with how it went. Um, I want to share some of my journey that I've been on over the last couple of years around self worth and relationships, and it kind of revolves around this person, or I thought it did. Um, I tried just kind of speaking from the heart, and I ended up kind of just like jumbling my words and not really getting to the point that I wanted to get across. Um, so I wrote this like journal entry that was kind of just like reflecting on the whole thing, and I think I'm just gonna read from it directly. Um, I wrote this on Christmas Eve. Um, Not important to it, but yeah. Um, I Most of all, what I hope to like give you from this is a sense of comfort, and maybe we can come to some conclusions together. But let me just read this. I met her in April 2023. We matched on Tinder. She had this glow about her. She had such a free spirit. Her smile was something to behold. We went on one date. We walked from Idlewild to downtown by the courthouse, up California, and back to Idlewild. She reflected what I valued about community, artistry, and expression. I couldn't believe who I was seeing. At the time, I was healing from a breakup of a long term relationship. It'd been about 2 months, and I was still dealing with that fallout. She was everything I wanted from a relationship, but I think deep down I knew it wouldn't work. I was healing, but I was insecure, filled with shame, and I had no idea who Calum was outside of a relationship. It took me a long time to understand that issue. Before she and I went out, I'd agreed to work in Elko for the summer. We went on our date, and I felt a true connection, and then I left. We texted here and there for a couple weeks, and as time went on, I heard less and less from her. Eventually it hit me she didn't intend to respond, and the silence was suffocating. Although unfortunate timing, the 3 months out there was therapeutic. I got to sit with myself and recognize a lot of my pain and trauma that had gone unprocessed. I got to reassess who I wanted to be, how I'd like to show up in the world. I thought about my ex and the person I was with her, who I didn't want to be. I thought about this new person a lot, though I thought I had a chance with her still. I thought it was healthy aspiration. I thought we had something. Looking back, I see it was an obsession built on the prospect of something that could never be. I came back at the end of July, and I looked for her in everything. I prayed I'd see her at the park, at the bookstore, in my favorite coffee shop. It's funny looking back. I searched and searched for her, and all I found was me. Come November, I recognized the impact of this unhealthy obsession had on me. I didn't even want her anymore. I'd become resentful, fiending for her approval or some confirmation that I was lovable. I felt isolated, alone, and for the first time I was able to admit where I went wrong. I wrote her a letter and apologized for the energy I'd been conjuring at her subconsciously, and it truly felt like I found peace. And I'm going to take a break from this entry here and just say that um, around this time I found out that she was in a relationship, and it broke me, to be honest. I Again, I felt isolated, alone, and for the first time, I was able to admit where I went wrong. I saw that my resentment was more towards myself than her, for pouring so much energy into the possibility of what could happen and not what was truly in front of me. I wasn't able to look at the world around me from a grounded place. I was very attached to this idea, this story that I built in my head. Um, and I had to spend a lot of time addressing some issues that I had around obsession and limerence, um, which had a lot to do with like my inner child. And I spent a few months in therapy talking with my therapist about it, um, about how these things like rooted from my childhood and the dynamics that I was put into between my parents. I had divorced parents as a kid, and I ended up being kind of like a mediator. And it was like this. I always had to find some sense of safety with where I was by finding validation from my parents however I could get it. And as I grew up, it caused me to be very disconnected from reality in a way where my co-star just came through and it said, accept grit, make the pearls and then lose them, which is kind of synchronistic to this. Um, I, I wasn't able to be fully honest with what I wanted within myself because I was seeking approval from everywhere outside of me. And I kind of had to just release this person and accept that things were the way they were, and that if anything more was to come of it, I have to just let it go and understand that what's meant for me will not miss me. Um, I'm going to refer to this person as L. I don't want to just like put their name out there. But I met L at the end of November. And they were exactly who I needed at that time. We shared love like I'd never felt before. And for the first time, I felt understood on a deeper level. Our love was passionate and unconditional. Over time, though, I found myself outgrowing them. The friends they kept around were this constant reminder of the pain they experienced, and no matter how much these people hurt them, they couldn't bring themselves to leave. Eventually, this dynamic crept into our relationship, and it felt like we were having the same conversation about how L deserves better, but are too scared to search for better. It still breaks my heart. L is such a kind, compassionate, loyal, and dedicated friend who rarely gets treated with the same respect. I only ever wanted for the best. I only wanted the best for them, and still do. In May of this year, there was this event that my partner at the time was involved in, and they pushed me to sign up. I got set up with two random musicians to form a band. We wrote an original song and a cover, and we spent a month and a half preparing for this show. By the time the show came around, we played our set, and it was such a blast, unlike anything I'd ever experienced before. It felt like I belonged on that stage. I bring this experience up because I came to find that past person was performing out in one of the bands that night. Their set was great, and it was cool to see them following her aspiration, playing bass on stage like she talked about. Elle and I had a conversation with this person, giving congratulations and whatnot. And she complimented me, saying I rip, and I couldn't bring myself to compliment her. After months without thinking of her, and for months before that going stir crazy at the pain of how we disconnected, I was honestly angry, and as I thought more after, I was pissed. I didn't even know what I wanted, but I was so angry. I think at myself more than anything. I felt I deserved an apology for the pain I experienced. It felt unfair I had to carry so much weight and pain, and she gets to live happily as if I didn't exist. To be treated like the plague, and then to turn around and smile in my face felt so invalidating. It got me thinking, though. I realized the lesson in this experience was that I got to save myself. With the skills I gained and the self-love I'd fostered, I was able to validate my own experience. It gave me the chance to step outside myself and see that we had two completely different perspectives on the situation. I came to find that I was not owed any courtesy or apology for pain caused by my own lack of communication. The way she left was immature and it hurt me, but I don't need to wait around for her to recognize how she mishandled me, to take a sense of peace and closure into my own hands. I had to experience that rejection in order to grow. I now recognize it was redirection and not rejection. Now, this was a really big realization for me because it taught me a lesson on self-love that was waiting to be learned. I spent a lot of time after that, like, really pouring into that idea of how to validate myself. And that kind of showed up in a way of, like, almost dating myself. I ended up leaving Elle around July, and while it was like heartbreaking because this person felt like everything that I wanted out of a partner, I knew that I deserved better, and I know that I deserve a person who is willing to grow in the same way that I grow. Um, Someone that's not so attached to their pain and doesn't identify so deeply with their trauma, because we are more than our pain. Um, and it was a heartbreak that took me a long time to process, because it's heartbreak like I never felt it before, because I was literally walking away from the most perfect person I felt I'd ever met before. But I wasn't broken. I walked away from that experience more full than I'd ever felt before, because it wasn't an act of running from a person. It was an act of running towards myself and pouring into myself in a way I never had before. I took myself on dates, and every time I thought about how I wanted some kind of support from another person, I poured that into myself instead. And I really became my own rock. Um, Now, it's interesting because this past person we were talking about before um, didn't even really do anything to hurt me, and yet well, hold on. Yes, they did. There was entirely a lack of communication on where we stood with one another, and that lack of communication directly reflected everything that had um, caused my trauma in the past, and that triggered me very deeply. I had to learn to accept that, like I said in the entry, that you're not always owed an apology or an explanation, and the beauty of it is learning to have that explanation for yourself. Now, around, I don't know, the last few months, this person's been showing up again in my life, and it's been a really weird thing to navigate, because I don't know, I don't even really want to like be with this person, and yet they have showed up everywhere I turn. There was a solid 2 months where it was like they were in my dreams every other night, and I haven't really known what to make of it. Um, I'd be lying if I said I didn't like it, because I don't know, I like this person, but I don't want to keep repeating these same patterns. Um, I don't know. I've been going to shows, and it seems like almost every show I go to, they're at the other side of the room, or they're at events everywhere I go. And I I took it as a sign that like maybe things were going to work out, that the universe was trying to bring us together. And I don't know if that's the case, honestly. Um I feel like there's some kind of lingering lesson that I haven't been picking up on. Um I pulled some cards before recording this to try to understand the point of it all. Um, about a month ago, I messaged this person talking about the change that they catalyzed in my life. I really poured my heart out, talking about my path, how I was broken when I met them, and they inspired me to want to be something more, to grow into the person that I've always wanted to be. Um, and I don't really know why I sent that message. I mean, I wanted to get my feelings outside of myself so that I wasn't just like rolling over and over in the same thoughts of what could or couldn't be, what could or couldn't have been. Um, and I just told them how I felt, and I was like, if you don't feel the same, that's all right. I just need you to know. And they didn't respond, and it hurt. I was really angry at myself for like a week. Um, and then once all of the anger subsided, I found a new sense of peace. And I don't know. Um, because in the past, when I was chasing this person, I, it was very much from this place of like, I want you to see me at all. And I think the beauty of it now is having these feelings resurface seemingly out of nowhere has helped me see that like if I want to be with a person, um, it's going to be because they see me for who I am and see the worth that I provide, um, and not for the sake of them providing some sort of validation or um, affirmation for the person I am. Um, because I don't need that outside influence. And even though this person didn't respond, um, it's not the end of the world, you know? It was a chance for me to it was almost like a full circle moment of like I have grown in this journey I've been on the last 2 years. Um, and that I finally am the person that I've always wanted to be. And I still have a lot of growth to do. I'm working on myself day in and day out. Um, but I don't need anyone else to like tell me that I'm good enough. Um, and it does suck that like I can't be with this person because there is a part of me that knows we could have been so great. Um, but that's okay, you know? I'm going to continue living my life to the fullest, most beautiful extent that I can be. The cards that I pulled were the Ace of Chalices, the Emperor, and the Ten of Cups. And it almost feels like this call to um, fill my own cup, to take action on my own life, and to create the ending that I want. Find beauty in everything. Like, even though this, me pouring my heart out didn't go the way I wanted it to, um, it was still a chance for me to be like fully authentically myself. I said it in a reading that I posted around that time. Um, it's like go and get your heart broken just for the sake of experiencing it. Because heartbreak is a beautiful thing because it gives us the chance to love ourselves even deeper. Because our worth does not reside in another person. Only we have the ability to um, say what we aren't, or like are worthy of. I don't know. I hope that makes sense. The other cards I pulled were the Moon, the Ace of Swords, and the Seven of Pentacles, and I feel like this is really speaking to me in the sense that I, for the first time in my life, I was fully honest with myself, and I was fully honest with another person in how I felt, and I was able to show myself that like authenticity is more important than um, like, showing up in a fully authentic way, being fully honest with myself is more important than um, allowing someone to control my narrative. Because truly, it's all perspective, and while this might look like a loss on the surface, it's a win in my book, because it's the first time I've taken some kind of step like that, without, I mean, there was fear, but I did it because I knew I had to, that there was nowhere else to go, that no matter the signs and synchronicities, I can't just, like, sit and watch this, like, consume my life. I don't know. I don't know if there... I feel like there's more to it that I just can't place at this time. But at the very least, it's given me a newfound sense of security. Because my mind is free from the thoughts, from the stories, from the desperation. And it's given me the chance to share my story with you, which I want to become more comfortable with. Because it's hard to talk about these things and not feel crazy, because I felt crazy for a long time. But I'm human, and that's a beautiful thing. Yeah. The biggest thing I guess I would hope you take from this is that your worth is not defined by another person's perspective on you. You're a beautiful being in your own right, and it's fully up to you to own that for yourself. And trust me, it's not easy. It's taken me 2 years to feel whole since falling apart from my last relationship. Maybe a year, but there's been constant, not necessarily setbacks, but obstacles I've had to get over to maintain my peace. And as time goes on, it gets easier and easier to return to that peace and to feel whole within yourself consistently. And you're not always going to feel good. Like, the journey's all about the good, the bad, the ugly. But in truth, it's all beautiful because it helps make you who you are. Yeah. My name is Calum. This has been Full Mental Alchemy. If you want to book a personal reading with me, you can do so through Instagram at Full Mental Alchemy with an underscore before and after. I'll also link my music in the description. I would love if you checked it out. I just released a song called Smoke Signal, which was kind of about this whole thing, which is kind of funny. Just, the human mind is so silly. We can be so silly sometimes, and that's okay. I don't know. It's embarrassing, but, like, it's human, and that's a beautiful thing. I'm not going to be ashamed for the feelings that I've felt or the experiences that I've had, no matter how down bad I was. Because right now, I'm up bad now. I love you. Thank you for watching, and providing me the space to be authentic with you in this way. And I hope you stick around. I'll see you next time. Bye.